we wrapped up the Indiana All-Stars basketball this past weekend, so that's always a sort of a highlight of June. And again, Indiana sweeps on the boys' side and splits on the girls' side, which has kind of been the theme these last several years. The girls haven't swept Kentucky. I think 2016 was the last time, and that was 3 years in a row they did it, and then it's been kind of a split. I think Kentucky actually had the better team this year, but Indiana didn't have Ayanna Patterson from Homestead, Miss Basketball, she actually got hurt the last practice at UConn. She was at UConn, had checked in. She was there for about a week and a half, and Gino REM had given her the green light to come back and play, but then she fell on somebody at practice on Wednesday just as she was about to leave to come back, so she was held out. But she was there. I thought it was cool. She came back and she made it a big deal to be part of it, or she didn't make it a big deal, but I thought it was a big deal that she came back to be part of it. So, that was cool that she was still there. Braden Smith couldn't play either because of coming off his knee injury or not his foot injury. I'm sorry. Who's going to Purdue, but he was there, had a blast. I think he was a big part of the sort of the bench part of it and being a cheerleader as they both were for their teams. But Indiana gets the sweep on the boys, and again, and I always come away looking at how the team played as a whole. I think a really good group that really, I think, shared the ball well. They were willing teammates, and I think it was a cool experience for the guys that I talked to and the girls I talked to be part of the All-Star process.
CJ Gunn, Indiana commit and recruit coming in now. Well, he's in Bloomington now, but man, did he step up and have a great and consistent weekend with 20 points on Friday night, 21 points on Saturday night to lead everybody, and to pace the All-Stars. Great way for him to go out. MVP. I'm like, man, that's cool. He didn't win the Mr. Basketball, but to say you were the MVP of the All-Star game, that's still, man, that's a pretty cool thing that you get to keep the rest of your life. It's a big deal. I mean, you look at the names on that list, you look at the names that have played in that game. I keep telling people, I'm like, dude, go back. You've got the greatest of the great that have been in this game, whether it's Robertson or Bird, whomever. There are so many. George McGinnis. I mean, good Lord, there's some great basketball names. So it's an honor in Indiana, and I know we've talked about with Indiana dominating on the boys' side. Well, they've lost 3 games in the last 20 years.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I can't remember exactly the years, but yeah, it's been I think 20 something like 29 out of 32 or 28 out of 31, something in that range. But yeah,
do you know the record now? It's like 104-40 or something.
I had that. It's 10. Yeah, I think 102 to 44. I want to say, or 104 to 44, something in that range. I could probably find it for you, but yeah,
I'm just curious.
I think since 96, really, it's been like 44 out of 52. So it's been just a total whitewash since 96. So
why? What's changed in that period? Do you think? All right, so I'm thinking back 1996, 97, 98, 99. The guys that were on Indiana's teams, Indiana was kind of recruiting. That's when they had for Charlie Miller and a lot of out-of-state guys on the Indiana roster at that time. Kirk Haston was on that team. Dane Fife from Michigan. So maybe, I don't know, but obviously something started happening in the state of Indiana or in the state of Kentucky that just changed.
I think Indiana's always had, you go back year by year, and I'm not sure this year's team's any lesser than, 96 or whatever. I mean, you could argue it, I guess, but, on the Indiana side, I'm saying, but I think more of the changes have probably happened on the Kentucky side where they, their all-star process is different than Indiana, where you have to, I think this year they had to be at 3 different tryout sessions. And I'm kind of, I don't know exactly, but I know it's kind of a tryout process that they have down there. And we have the the Hoosier Basketball Magazine does the the senior top 60 workout at Marion after the season's over. So there is that, but that's not a that's not a tryout. Put that in quotations. It's sort of just and Javen Buchanan from Lafayette Jeff, I think, and there's been guys over the years that have really played well in that top 60, especially guys from out of the area, out of central Indiana, who have performed really well and kind of earned their spot on the team where they have maybe been an outsider. But our process here is not, we name the best, well, not we, the Mike Broughton or whoever the all-star director is, they name the best players. And then, as it is now, they kind of make sure that those players can be there to be part of the game. And you're not always going to get them anymore, not with the way the colleges kind of bring people in earlier and earlier now. But Kentucky, they just, for whatever reason, they just seem to have trouble getting their top players there. And even if they did, I think Indiana would probably have the better team anyway. But it's just kind of been a mess, and I know there's good people working hard to try to keep the series alive down there, but it just hasn't been, and you go to Owensboro, like I have the last 2 years for the game, and it's really kind of like, it's a cool arena. It's older, but the crowd there, there's just nothing. That's just dead. And I don't know, they need to bring in some
well, you're in Owensboro, which is a small city to begin with, a small town on the river. It's away from everything. You have a little bit of Indiana support, but there's no city. There's no population, Indiana population across the river there, hardly. They've got to get it back to Louisville. It's just got to get back to Louisville.
I wrote that the other day too. I mean, to me, the best case scenario, you played at Bellarmine or whatever gym in Louisville that would be. You're not going to play at the Yum Center, but play it But if you can play it at Bellarmine, play it at Bellarmine. Or if you can't, then there's got to be somewhere else.
Well, right now there's a rule that prohibits that because it's a Division I. They're now a Division I team. So you've got that's the problem for Bellarmine, and it is a great, because it only seats about 2,500, which that's about as good as you're going to get probably in Kentucky, and you've got some overflow from Indiana. And I'm trying to think of other places that wouldn't be expensive. They've got like Broadbent Arena out there at the fairgrounds, but that's going to cost too much money. They'll lose money, and I don't think they have a high school big enough.
Well, you're not. I wouldn't even worry about if you can sell out with that, whatever. Yeah, that'd be awesome. But, I've been to Transylvania. I've been to, Owensboro, Bellarmine. I mean, to me, having it in Louisville, you get the best chance of a walk-up crowd. You're going to get more Indiana fans to come in. It's just a bigger city. It's just, and I like Owensboro. My sons play baseball down there. It's a cool, they got some neat stuff on the river there, but it's just not, no one knows about it or no one cares down there to come as a walk-up crowd. So, I don't know. There's got to be something, I would say, that's better than what you're doing now. And just, try to bring in some youth teams or some, we've done that here on the Indiana side where you bring in some middle school teams playing a shootout and then they come over and they're part of it. And Charlie Hall, I know, used to do that. And Mike Broughton, they're still doing that, as much as they can. So, it's just, and again, it's not ever going to be 1972 or 82 or whatever anymore. But, I think there can be, and again, this is me talking about it and writing about it, not actually doing it, but it's got to be, you got to find a way to just get more people through the door and get excited about being at the game. And then also, keeping your best players as much as possible to be able to play in it too. But I don't know. The answer to me is not play Michigan or Illinois or whatever. If you're going to, if this series dissolves, I think you just play the juniors and do it that way, and maybe if you do a Friday, Saturday, or a whatever, maybe a one game or whatever. But again, that's not ideal either because you're not playing a rival state. But it would still be something to have the game and make it. And I think people like seeing the juniors. I think people like who's next. Who's the next big thing or whatever. So. I think that may be the way to go if you ever decide, or it's not feasible to do this anymore with Kentucky.